Oh, wait. Hello! Welcome to Actual Spinster. My name is Anna Marie and this is Lotta. Do you want to stay? And today I'm going to do kind of like a different video, I guess, in the sense that I got my friend Emma to make me some recommendations for basically women writers who were Jane Austen's contemporaries. So I thought I would talk about the books that she recommended, and also it's like a double kind of recommendation. Like, I have got these recommendations and I'm sharing them with you, I guess. And yeah, a couple of them, I haven't read any that she recommended, but a couple of them have been like on my TBR for a while. So this is also sort of like hopefully a little bit more of a push to read some of them. Oh, and I should say that the reason I asked Emma specifically, aside from the fact I just think she has great taste, is that she has like a master's in 18th century studies and is just interested in like women's writing in the late 18th and early 19th century. She kind of fits quite well in the sense that my interest is kind of a bit later, so we sort of like bridge the long 18th century into the Victorian era properly and into then like the modernist era and so on. Yeah, I'm gonna leave her Twitter in the description box if you want to check her out. Like I said, I think she has great taste and great opinions, so yeah. I guess like I think I'll just read out what Emma said and then kind of talk about it. So, Frances Burney is the most obvious novelist to turn to. As an extraordinarily popular writer of sentimental novels, her novel Evelina is the easiest to tackle, a courtship novel with a nastier and more scandalous edge than Austen's work herself. I'd also recommend Cecilia and Camilla, much longer novels, but referenced by Austen directly in Northanger Abbey. I feel like this is how you can see that Emma really like loves this stuff, because there's quotations. So this is a quote from Northanger Abbey. "And what are you reading, miss?" "Oh, it is only a novel," replies the young lady, while she lays down her book with affected indifference or momentary shame. "It is only Cecilia or Camilla or Belinda, or in short only some work in which the greatest powers of the mind are displayed, in which the most thorough knowledge of human nature, the happiest delineation of its varieties, the liveliest effusions of wit and humour are conveyed to the world in the best chosen language." And actually, I was wrong. I have read Evelina, which is by Frances Burney. I read that a couple years ago and I did enjoy it, yeah, in the sense of it being like this sort of interesting peg in the history of the novel and like the development of the novel. Also, obviously, Belinda is referenced in that quotation that I read out, and Emma says this, I have to add Maria Edgeworth's Belinda. "Belinda is a very strange novel, energetic and humorous but deeply unsettling. It's a rich text with some really interesting queer readings to pick at. The relationships between women drive much of the plot, and there is even a scene in which several women dress in men's clothes and have a duel." Which like sounds incredible. Belinda is another book that has been on my TBR for a while. I actually do have a physical copy of it too. I don't think I have it nearby though, unfortunately, but it is one I've really wanted to get to. I know there's a character called Harriet Freke. I didn't know about the the multiple women dressing as men and dueling, but that sounds really good. Hang on, I'm just gonna give Lotta some attention. I don't know where I got up to, so I'm just gonna keep going with what Emma said. Also referenced in Northanger Abbey is Anne Radcliffe's Mysteries of Udolpho, a long and indulgent Gothic novel. A more approachable option would be a Sicilian romance, rather short but deeply weird. I think of all of the novels that are like suggested by Emma, I actually am least inclined to pick up an Anne Radcliffe one. I don't know, I just sort of feel like they seem a bit too long, but maybe I will pick up a Sicilian romance. Yeah, if it is short. So Emma said also, "There are often attempts to reframe Austen's work as radical, as a means to reclaim it or defend it, and I'm not adverse to all of these readings, but I do think it's worth noting how many women writers were openly radical during the period. Charlotte Smith was a radical poet and novelist. Her elegiac sonnets was hugely popular, massively influencing Wordsworth and Romanticism in general. Her novel Desmond is particularly interesting as a novel that tackles the French Revolution head-on. Mary Wollstonecraft, of course, well known as an early feminist and radical writer, and her vindications are often studied, but her novels are stranger. Maria, or The Wrongs of Woman especially, a novel that takes place pretty much entirely within an asylum, developing much of her thinking about patriarchy from Vindication." Also, Emma wrote this very interesting side point there, which is maybe did it influence Woman on the Edge of Time by Marge Piercy, which I think is really interesting, and it made me really want to pick it out. I think Mariah is unfinished, but that is definitely something I will be keeping an eye out for to read soon. And just to say, I think like once I get through the recommendations, I'll tell you my like key kind of priorities, I guess, from them. But yeah, I'd love to hear about your thoughts about any of these two. Mary Hayes' Memoirs of Emma Courtney is a very philosophical novel about love, desire and adultery. Interesting the degree to which it considers free love. With moralistic contemporary ideas about art dominating the day, women who behaved badly in novels tended to be not only punished by the narrative but cast beyond much sympathy, despite how many women actually lived. Hayes based the novel on her own unrequited love, but also was a good friend of Austen, who had a long extramarital affair, and whose daughter Mary Godwin Shelley ran off with Percy Shelley and only married him several years later in an attempt to secure custody of his children. I actually think I also have a copy of that one too, which looks interesting, partially because, yeah, I'm obviously interested in free love as a kind of, I guess, specific phenomenon of the sort of late 1880s into the 1890s, but it obviously does, because I mean I think free love are two words that can mean a lot of things, and then there are like sort of specific political movements or yeah like ideologies that frame what that would mean to somebody sort of contextually and historically. You can still definitely chart a kind of free love that is consistent, because if marriage exists then there's always going to be a kind of like attempt to get free from it, basically, I guess. So yeah, those are the recommendations. I am interested in reading another Frances Burney, and I think I'm gonna pick Cecilia next. Like I said, I didn't especially enjoy Evelina, but I did find it interesting to read, and definitely like piquing my interest enough to want to read more Frances Burney. And obviously she is quite like an iconic writer, and you know, she was like directly quoted, right, I think in, or like I think if you read Evelina you can read like particular lines, yeah, that are in Pride and Prejudice, for example. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I would also say Belinda is like definitely a top priority too. And then I think Mariah by Mary Wollstonecraft is also probably up there. I actually remember coming across it when I was in undergrad writing an essay on Adeline Mowbray by Amelia Opie, which is a novel also about free love, but I was focusing on it through a like mother-daughter Quaker lens, I guess. And there were quite a few papers, or at least I definitely remember one paper which was comparing Mariah to Adeline Mowbray. So that is interesting. I mean, I hated Adeline Mowbray, but like, you know, the ideas behind it I don't hate. I just yeah, really didn't enjoy reading it. But yeah, that's that. So please do let me know like if you've read any of these and like what you think of them, or if you have any, after hearing about them, like if you have any particularly you'd want to read. Obviously I'm making this for July because there's Jane Austen July, so I wish you luck with your Jane Austen reading. One of the reasons I wanted to make this year is because I have now made all of Jane I've made all of Jane Austen's work, yeah. No, I've read all of Jane Austen's major novels, and then I've read a couple of her snippety, more juvenilia stuff. I think I've actually more so read the fragments than the juvenilia, but yeah, so now I'm kind of like looking to go elsewhere, I guess, and I thought this would be useful, again, to me and also hopefully to you. Yeah, and I will talk to you when I next talk to you. I would get Lotta to say bye, but she's all cozy, so bye!